So I've got Black Hawk down. Would you like to introduce yourselves, the band, the style of music, a bit about yourselves?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Ben, I'm the lead singer, sometimes called Log for reasons too long to explain right now. It's got nothing to do with toilets, so that's yeah, lead singer of Black Hawk Down. So we are a heavy rock slash metal alternative mesh of music, I would say, as a band. It's difficult to pigeonhole us because quite a few of our tracks are different, really.
Yeah.
I'd say we're a big riff heavy rock band.
I'm Dirt, aka Andy as well. Dirt, being not associated with garden stuff. We're going along that way. And I'm one of the main guitarists, writing riffs, writing some old solos, and backing vocals as well. So, yes.
Dirt, not because you're dirty, yeah.
No.
Well, that could mean many things, actually, couldn't
No.
it? So I don't know about that part of you, but
Yeah.
I'm Ant. I play bass, help along with the writing and structuring of different songs, and collaborate with Andy on the backing vocals as well to get those nice three-part harmonies going.
You've just brought out a new album. First full-length album.
Yes.
Yeah, it's called Chapter 1, and it has only come out in the last 3 weeks, maybe.
July the
31st.
yeah, month.
Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about that? So you actually might know the release date. I honestly can't remember off the top of my head what it's called, songs on it, general feeling of the album, who it's with, who have you released it with?
So we're independent, so we're not signed to anyone. We were signed to a label for a while, but that didn't work out. It didn't really fit our expectations, I don't think, to what a label should do. That was a while ago anyway. So the album it follows on from a short EP we did in 2017 called Prefix, which originally was 3 tracks, wasn't it? Then we re-released it with...
It's originally 4.
Oh, re-released with 4, yeah. And 5 tracks. The album is Chapter 1, and basically over the sort of 10 years we've been together, we've written a load of songs. We've probably got around 30 songs now? 25 to 30 songs. So when we came to pull the album together, it was really about sort of cherry picking the ones we wanted that sort of showed that journey. So there's quite a dichotomy between some of the styles within there. And I think that sort of shows the journey that we've been on from the start. So it was quite a process to actually choose the 11 tracks that we're going to go on. That was quite fun.
A rigorous voting system.
Yeah, involving spreadsheets, because we're cool. And really, yeah, it's just about, I think for us, recording or laying down those songs as a sort of historical record for ourselves in many ways.
I mean, we've had lots of failed attempts in terms of writing an album.
I'm not writing the songs.
Not in terms of trying to portray the songs, which we've from our live point of view, into reproducing it in a recording point of view. We've had many different attempts, whether it be DIY, completely DIY, or trying to go into studio and doing it completely with an engineer. Some way or another, it doesn't always work.
Yeah.
The EP was a kind of combination of one of those at times when we did it, so we kind of just thought we'd just do the best 5. This is the album's a combination of both DIY and producer. So DIY we're doing a bit, so we're fairly confident we can do well with. And then with an engineer, record things we can't do, like drums and mixing and other bits. And I'm really happy with it.
So it's not as though it's not recorded in one place. It's an amalgamation of different areas that you've managed to record with different people.
Well, so the
yes and no. Well, all the guitars, like all the bass and both lots of guitars, were recorded at our other guitarist's house. He's got a nice good setup there. Basically, they were sort of dry recorded, so they could be remodeled with the engineer later on. The drums are recorded up in Leeds. I can't remember the name of the studio.
The Nave.
The Nave.
That's it, with Andy Hawkins. They were recorded up there, and all the mixing was done by Andy Hawkins as well. And vocals, again, they were recorded at Andy's house because he had the better acoustics in a room. And they were all done over a couple of weeks, I think, wasn't it, Ben? And
I try and block out the vocal. It was very, very hot when we did it, and basically,
I like to say it improved some of the tracks. You can hear the anger in your voice. So hot.
Basically,
angry vocals.
I was being a bit of a drama queen, to be honest with you. But it was so hot in this room, and the lads are really accommodating. And we'd do a take, and then the curtains would be open, fans would be moved into the room. We'd sort of cool the room down for 5-10 minutes, all go and sit outside, then go back and do another take. Yeah, it was a few weeks of doing that, basically, wasn't it, with me being a whingy old man. But the result for a sort of do-it-yourself, I mean, ideally, we'd want to go to a studio, do it all there, do it all properly. You know, if we could afford to do it when we're all playing live in different live rooms, etc., that would be fantastic. But you're restricted by money-wise. I mean, we saved up for 3 years to get the money together to record it, and even then, Andy did us a deal when it came to the production because Lee, thankfully, knew him before. I mean, Andy Hawkins has mixed and produced quite a few really well-known bands as well, so we're lucky to get him in.
The album itself, can you describe your sound, the album's sound, influences, what we can expect? We're sort of on, with it being emerging rock bands, we're kind of on the premise that not everyone's going to know of you. Certainly it's new to me. I'm not going to make any false pretenses that I've known about you for years. I've listened to the album. I think it's great. Can you tell us about it?
I think we've all got very different favourite bands. So I think we've got a crossover. That's how I get it. So we do like the same music, but when we start to veer off what we listen to, perhaps on our own, it's a bit of a different influence. So for me, I'm big into my sort of 90s Seattle music and sort of tail end of thrash metal, I'd say, things like that, Metallica and things like that. So Rage Against the Machine, all the obvious ones probably, and then you've got these guys that are into something completely different. So
I mean, I'm more into my sort of thrash metal and tech metal, progressive metal. I like weird time signatures and like 15-minute songs, but I like light and dark, and I think I like if a song's got a good amount of light and dark, then I'm happy. I'm getting everything I want to in that song. So
I think that's a good way of describing what we do, actually. There's lots of high moments in our songs and lots of low moments.
There's songs there's parts where you can take a breath, and that's I think what a lot of songs actually these days don't have. These ultra aggressive bands, and it is just punch aggressive the whole way through. It doesn't give you any time to really sit back and absorb what you've listened to before going on to the next part. And I think that our music is actually doing that.
Yeah. The two of my main bands which I listen to they definitely do that with Nine Inch Nails and Tools. It's all the kind of the bigger project, with the vocals doing different things. So as loud as you possibly can, as soft as you possibly can. I think Exposed is a good example of that, where it's got the kind of big heavy riff at the beginning, then the choral bit and clean bit for a bridge, and then just the different layers that you can get out of that. So all those different things kind of come together, don't they? And then there's Lee with his technical side.
He's very much old school metal, isn't he?
Yeah, likes his Maiden, likes his Extreme. Big fan of Nuno. So.
Yeah, Nuno's his favourite guitarist, isn't it? Yeah, I think he actually has a crush on him. And then
he has met him, so I don't know what happened when that.
We did meet backstage, didn't we? So then he got Mark, who's our drummer, and he's into like Guns N' Roses, Disturbed. Similar sort of stuff to me, actually.
Rock bands that do 4/4, basically.
I think all those influences come in, don't they? I liken our harmony style to, say, Alice in Chains or something like that.
Yeah.
But our riffs are definitely more Disturbed, Metallica. I don't know who else. Pantera-ish,
Throw
yeah.
some audio slave in there as well, because it's some of the riff.
Well, we try and keep, when writing sort of choruses, I always try and keep something catchy, make sure there's a melody. And that sometimes surprises people when they first hear us live, I think, because you've got this very aggressive or very quiet then aggressive intro. And then suddenly you're like, oh, there's something I can actually sing along to, or something that will stick in my head. Or at least I think so.
It's very, very heavy. It is very kind of, like you say, Metallica, end of 80s thrash. But then there's also, like you say, very grunge elements. And some of the harmonies, some of the vocals, really grunge. But it marries together. And like you say, then you got a really powerful, catchy chorus married up with some really heavy, intricate stuff. And it's brilliant. And what I was going to ask is whether there's any songs that you think we should start with, because for me it was Sick Kind. That was the first song I heard from the album. Actually that is a cracking riff, and when it builds and it builds through the intro, and it really does grab you. It's brilliant, and then the singing comes in and it gets catchy. It's great. So where should we start? What else is there?
I personally think, in terms of kind of bringing in everyone's kind of influence and stuff, I think either Faces or
maybe Run.
Yeah.
Run's good. It's the last song on the album. I'm not sure about the positioning of it now, with hindsight. I think it may have...
Well, I think we put it at the end of the album because it was the last song that we wrote together fully for the album. So it's the most recent edition, and it shows sort of, where we are right now, if you like. So
yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's sort of the end of chapter 1.
Yeah, it's the end of chapter 1.
Yeah,
exactly. It's the full stop. So.
To be continued.
Hopefully, if we can take and COVID doesn't completely kill the old metal scene. The funny thing, actually, you saying that we're very heavy. So that's a problem we've always had when going out gigging, is that it's very difficult where to put us. If it's a large bill with lots of different types of rock and metal bands, it's fine. But if you're doing like a 3-band lineup on a night, sometimes we'll get put with, I don't know,
3 indie bands.
3 indie bands, or a heavy rock band, but they're more heavy rock like Foo Fighters or I don't know, Biffy Clyro or something like that. And we just stick out like a sore thumb. And sometimes people that like that type of music will just think we're too heavy. And then you've got the exact opposite, where we'll be put with some bands where it's just
hardcore night.
Yeah, hardcore night and
black metal. Definitely.
Yeah, and then we come along and we sound like
where's the double kick drum?
And so we've always found it a bit difficult to sort of find our groove. And I think the more successful gigs we have is either ones where we're headlining, people know what they're going to get, or we've been at like festivals where it's you expect something different every band.
Yeah, and there is a huge variety. It's not as though there is the quiet song or just the heavy song. There is a huge spectrum in each song of light and dark and heavy and soft. So it's always worth checking out everything.
Yeah, the thing with intros now, I think Mark said that songs are written particularly now with like a 7-second hook. So we did some testers basically a while back with songs, and the ones that tested the best were ones that sort of hooked you in straight away without this protracted sort of intro. Whereas I think I come from a generation of like a music where I'm quite willing to listen to an interesting intro for minutes, but I'm not sure whether that's the case necessarily now.
Yeah. But then when you're releasing whole albums, it's refreshing when there is like the 3-minute long intro before you hear anything. That's nice. It doesn't all need to be a radio friendly sing along.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Like the Smoke.
No, the Smoke is
a different breed, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it does stick out. But I mean, I do enjoy it. It seems like a bit of a geeky song to me. Yeah, it's a bit sort of, do you play Dungeons and Dragons in your spare time? Which there's nothing wrong with Dungeons and Dragons, but
it's definitely I'd say it's our proggy song for the album, which sort of sits nicely in the middle of the album and kind of links just the kind of beginning and the end of it.
I saw a video the other day for a band called Hung Daddy they've unfortunately stopped. Do you know Hung Daddy?
Yeah, yeah.
They've stopped. During COVID, they decided to break up, unfortunately, but they've got a video out where it's all like mystic warriors and wizards and stuff. chasing around in the woods. It was really, really good. I'd love to do something like that. Walking through the steamy streets of London at night, dressed as a wizard.
The next thing is, how has it been received? Have you had much feedback from the album? And, you know, is it all positive? Is it all negative? Does your mother like it?
My dad likes it. It's certainly not his type of music. We've had quite a few reviews from various different sort of online zines and things like that. And one thing I'll take from it, that none of them have been bad, which is great. But I think they've all been very fair and constructive. So they haven't sort of lavished us with praise about everything. I think in a lot of the write-ups you can tell which bits they don't like and why. But overall, it's been pretty positive, isn't it?
I think the thing I can take away the most is you have some radio stations where you put forward a song and they play it once just for the sake of playing it once for you. We've actually had a few online radio stations now that are repeating our songs.
Yeah.
Actually genuinely.
Yeah, very true.
So I think that's something we can take away.
And that's Faces and Sick Kind in particular, I think.
Yeah. Calling, I would say, is in there as well. Yes,
They're good intro songs, I think, to the album. I think the danger with Sick Kind sometimes is that people then expect the rest of the album to sound all like that. So, because it is quite a simple song in many respects, but it was just written because it's just a really cool riff, isn't it? Basically,
riff, chorus.
Yeah.
Solo, riff.
Yeah. You know, and then you feel like you've had a payoff.
Tick.
But you know that's why it's good as a first song for people to listen to, because it drags you in. It's catchy, it's fun. And as far as you're saying, Andy, about the radio stations, it's true, because you get inundated. Speaking from my point of view, my side of the table, you know, there's that many people wanting music played. And invariably, there's so much that's good. There's just this plethora of really fantastic music. And then you actually think, no, that one from 2 months ago was superb. I want that one back on again. So it speaks volumes if you're getting repeat plays. And
Yeah.
I'd like to say that, you know, you have repeat plays on my show, you know?
Thank you very much. Have you seen the video to Sick Kind?
Honestly, I haven't. Because I've got the album. It was just that.
Check that out on YouTube. So our first video that we did for this album, again, we had a bit of trouble with our first launch PR. So we had to start again with a different company. So we actually recorded Calling first. So the track 2 on the album.
Yeah.
So it's quite a serious video about a guy, you know, the song's about a guy going through some mental health issues in the world that we live in at the moment. You know, he's got a menial job, gets up every day, it's the same routine. Groundhog Day, and he slowly goes crazy until he starts, you know, at breakfast one morning just covering himself in cornflakes, basically. Despite that sort of comedic moment, the rest of the video was all very serious and a bit of performance, stuff like that. Really well shot by Dark North Media as well. Well, again, I think so. The Sick Kind video, which is the first one of this PR series, is a bit more lighthearted because the song itself has got quite serious subjects. So it's about cancer and death, and, you know, basically being 1 in 3. And at first, I wanted something really dark for the video as well. So I was thinking of things like us all lined up in hospital chairs, getting our treatment through, you know, drips and the IVs and things like that. And then they thought, do we really want to do that in this time? And it was in March we recorded it. So we ended up doing a sort of a metaphor for cancer, which was a rooster who is cancer sending out his minions, which are boxes of cornflakes, to our house to basically attack us and kill us. So it's about our battle against cancer, but it's this rooster and a load of cornflakes.
It's completely ridiculous. Without that context, if you were just watching it, it's completely bad.
Yeah.
It sounds like it should be like a Primus video or something.
One of our mates to dress up like a big rooster and hatch his evil plan with his hordes of ducks. Have a look at it. It's quite funny. It's fun.
was the biggest diva? All right, that was categoric.
We just had to appoint another person to come in just to emphasise on.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
I mean, I think you put it.
Do you want the list?
Minus one man breaks up.
I'm always late for a start.
Yeah, you're always late. You have strong views, I think, Ben. I think you have strong views on songs and certain ways that they go together. And if you're not happy, I think everybody in the local area knows that you're not happy. I can sort of now, when I first heard about it, I couldn't sometimes tell if you were joking or being serious. I can now. But yeah, you have a certain look about you, and it's like, okay, well, let's just try something else then, shall we? And everybody, we'll try something else. But do you know what? And you do it for the best reasons, and I think that actually helps us, to be fair with you, when it comes to our writing and developing the songs. So I can't really.
It's very nice of you to say.
But yeah, you are always.
There's some generic frontman things that you do.
Right, what's that then?
Well, you know, the usual. Yeah. But I think sometimes, whilst it's a very good trait to have, sometimes Ben can be too honest. It's great being honest. It's a very good personality trait to be very honest. But we're in a situation when we're kind of sometimes with other bands.
Oh yeah, I'm not allowed to talk to other bands now.
Just in case he gives it's like critiques. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen like that.
Well, you see, to me, when we've had gigs where we've had people come to us afterwards and say, really like that.
Good.
This didn't work for us.
Good set.
Yeah, it hurts a little bit, but I think that's better than the good set man, generic, okay. As long as it's constructive, you know, it's not like, you look like a fat wanker on stage or whatever. And I think it's fun.
No, like I said, whilst it's commendable, sometimes in a particular setting can come off the wrong.
I agree. That's why I'm not allowed to talk to bands. And one other story was, I was in a car accident a few years ago. And we did a gig a couple of days after. I shouldn't have really done it.
It wasn't a day. It was the day after. It wasn't the day after.
And I was clearly concussed, and I'd done my back and stuff like that. And we did the gig, and the sound was awful. I had to stop it halfway through and sort of say, "Can you do something about the sound?" And then I was basically bitching about it outside afterwards, not realising the guys that organised the gig were on the balcony above. No, it wasn't nothing personal. I wasn't saying those guys or whatever. I was just like, that's the worst sort of sound I've ever. It was horrible. And we were never invited back. So,
and it was right. It was right. It's just
to the city.
Never invited.
I'm not putting myself in a good light here. But
again, it was a concussion though. Whilst the rest of us in a situation where we're thinking this is bad, we'll try and make the most of it. Unfortunately, because of your concussion, that little fella just went, just wait. Wasn't there at that point. Anyway. Yeah.
I think we try and respect everybody, because regardless of whether you like someone else's music or whatnot, they work very hard on it. They're part of an independent music scene, which is tough going anyway. And same with venues and things like that, isn't it? It's just, I think sometimes with sound, especially that, I'll just go back to that for one last time. It wasn't necessarily that the sound was bad, it was actually hurting our ears on stage. And I've actually got damaged my right eardrum from a sound guy that I think used to do stadiums or something like that. And we were doing a gig, and there was a lass that was on before us.
Oh, God.
She had a really strong, almost operatic voice, and it was so loud. And it went up, and I just felt my ear just go.
It was amazing.
She hit this note, didn't she?
This particular gig, you were in a really tiny venue, but it sounded like you were stood at the very back of a stadium.
Yeah, of like Wembley or something.
Not like the stack of an empty stadium. So everything was reverbing everywhere.
Yeah.
You couldn't quite, it's like, is that a band in the distance? It was really loud, but is that a band? I can't quite tell.
But then talking to the sound guy, you realise, because you have to shout at him to get him to, Pardon?
Is what can we expect from a live Black Hawk Down gig? What is the show like?
Huge mosh pits, wall of death, flying kicks, all that sort of stuff. No,
I don't encourage that.
Just I suppose, hard rocking.
A lot of energy.
Lots of energy.
Yeah, a lot of energy. I think one of the worries we have with the album was, and I always have when people listen to it through crap headphones or something like that, is that we've always wanted our live sound to come across in the recording, if that makes sense. Because I think live, when we do it right, and there's been times where we've done it not right, but when we do it right, yeah, there's a real energy to the performance and stuff, and that's some feedback we've had previously.
We'll try and draw people into that sort of feeling we get from playing the music live.
Yeah.
And people can pick up on that from us, then we know we're doing the right thing on stage.
Yeah, you know when it clicks, because you're all having a good time, and I just get lost in it, really. Yeah, another thing as well, I'm really clumsy, so the amount of cables and attachments, I'm always standing on his pedal board.
To be fair, I now also have a particular rock stance which requires my foot to be in between.
I do train on your foot a lot.
Is that why? That's why. I'm sacrificing my foot in order to save the pedal.
Is it permanently black?
It's permanently there. It's permanently there, except for a bit where I know you walk away. So and then when it comes back to backing vocals, I've got my foot there again. So,
black foot. A lot of live energy, and I think importantly as well, I don't think we try and mimic anybody in particular.
This is kind of the crux of the whole thing. What's the album? When was it released? Where can we get it? How can we stay in touch with you and up to date?
29th of July?
Yes.
31st of July.
31st of July.
Thank you.
It's available on all major streaming platforms. We've got our own Bandcamp where you can buy physical copies. We've got a few signed copies left, so anybody ordering off there will get a signed copy now. We're at Black Hawk Down UK, all one word, on all social media. Well, I say all, so it's Twitter, Insta, Facebook, usual stuff. Bandcamp is bandcamp.blackhawkdownuk. Oh, .bandcamp. It's Black Hawk Down Bandcamp. Same on YouTube as well. We're at Black Hawk Down UK.
Marvellous. I think we'll draw it there, just so that we're inside the time limit. That was brilliant. Thank you very much.
It's been really good to talk to you, mate. Sorry if we prattled on a bit. No, it's been really good to chat to you, mate. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you too. All the best.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care, guys.